Alrighty guys, memory stocks are cooked. This is Sandisk collapsing today. Now, it's important to mention that things on Kospi yesterday looked bullish as for the rebound. However, the follow through is not happening on the US market side. This is Sandisk. This is Micron also on the decline. We'll talk about it. Is it already in the dire situation or whatnot? SK Hynix is falling in the middle today inside candle. What does it mean? And also your Seagate is not looking that good, right? How do you manage yourself here, the risk and positioning and all of that? Let's talk about in this video. We'll also take a look at Nvidia, AMD, and other semiconductors also alongside the memory stock. So with that, let's jump right into it. Once I also let you know, none of this is any financial advice, only for education purposes, just sharing my opinion. Please do your own thing. So let's start off with Sandisk today, right? So this is where this zone between yellow zone and the red zone, to put it simply, I have been mentioning to you guys that this is a potential transition phase, as if we can start to close stronger at 1860 area, that will start to put the transition on the bull side. However, let's get to the hourly interval. If we are unable to close stronger to this red zone up here, and we start to close on the lower end of the levels below, pretty much this is one of the significant levels, the transition will be on the bear side, right? And overall context still remains bearish in this zone, right? Because our prior context has been that Sandisk is on the decline, and thus overall structure, even in this zone though, overall structure is bearish unless we transition out of that red zone above. So even though the last couple of days we did see rebound build here, some of them were strong as well, right? And however, those rebounds failed to fully turn the overall structure bullish. And then we saw multiple retests to the downside, came back up, which means this is a rebound phase happening in the overall bearishness with its subset of transition possibility to the upside, which will put the probability transition for the near term on the bulls as if we closer to the higher end. And unfortunately, overall precedence will remain on the bearish side as if we continue to closed on the lower end side of this transition zone. So bulls, even though they did try to push on the multi-day segment into these rebounds on the strength side, they never could able to turn it overall bullish above the red zone. So overall structure never turned bullish, and unfortunately at this point, today's continuation in the downside is really putting a lot of pressure, all right? And so overall structure remaining bearish, transition failing for the bulls as well. They are unable to close on the higher end, and thus the right now, yes, overall structure is still taking precedence, unfortunately. And the place where it is at right now, right, a classic price action of the retest, but the retest is not holding right now. Can it hold? Well, at this point, you can only look possible strength even just on the rebound side, a possible bulls trying to take control on the rebound side, even that will be only above 1692. Below that, everything in the transition phase, everything in the overall side will remain negative. Overall will be still bearish below the red zone up there, but the thing is that even the multi-day upside you can't expect until we get above 1690 area on Sandisk. And it's getting to a next step of the overall structure at 1570. As if we lose it, we're gonna test 1270, unfortunately. And the thing is that even the moving averages are just for a reference, this is already losing 50 moving average here, which is not a good sign. Technically, it's working out as how this price action is supposed to work. We would test the zones, retest the upper end of it, and then see if the transition would happen. If it's not happening, losing the levels, overall structure is taking precedence to the downside. So not looking good, Sandisk right now. Right now, there is just no price action to the upside unless we get above 1690 area again on this thing. Okay, so this thing has already taken a haircut of 33% around from the top. So again, like if we get to 1280, doesn't mean it's going to stabilize there. Most likely we'll most likely get, well, we'll see level by level. I don't want to spook you, but you have to, the thing is that 773 is what I was going to say, but the thing is that you cannot buy here, right? Because it's bearish, right? And anything, even for a slowly and slowly rebound bullish confirmation in the transition, that was just part of a rebound. So you're still not going heavy position there because you never got a full confirmation. And for this very reason, it's important to position yourself with the price action. Okay, so that's your Sandisk. Now let's get to Micron. Okay, now before I go to Micron, let me show you Kospi from yesterday, because this thing closed strong and there is still a potential on this thing. As I said, even though it's not full on bullish, the rebound is strong enough that it may stabilize in this zone. Okay, but is that guaranteed? Definitely not, right? And that's why we do the risk management. So yesterday we did test the upper end of our trend line there. So we'll see how Kospi opens today. If you want to be updated about that, hit the like and subscribe so that when the video comes out, you are aware, because these two market doesn't have to go side by side. They don't have to follow the same price action. They are independent markets at their own price action. SK Hynix is the only one where I would see association because it's an extension of what we have on the NASDAQ of the Korean SK Hynix. So, but we'll get to SK Hynix in just a moment. So even though Kospi closed strong yesterday, that price action definitely is not reflecting in the Sandisk, and it doesn't have to. These are different commodities or instruments here, I should say. Anyways, let's see how it closes. But right now things remains negative. Only as if we get closer to 1690 again for any reason, then only there's a chance of some bullish side to build again on this thing. Otherwise, no. So Micron is also not looking good. Okay, it is also failing to close on the higher end of a possible transition to the bulls side on the overall structure side. And since it's closing on the lower end of it, at least going there again, bears are taking control again. Okay, now at this point, if you want to cut out the noise and just look from the overall perspective, definitely you can do multi-day and swing. That's what I was explaining you. Oh, sorry, multi-day and day trades. That's what I was explaining you, the transition phases. But the transitions only remained for a day or two, right? Bulls only tried to take control for a day or two, and then they couldn't push it to the overall strength. The way the Micron is today, not looking hopeful that it's gonna get to the highs or even the test of highs. It's looking like it's gonna continue lower. You cannot look on this thing any upside from where we are unless you again get closer to the yellow zone, like 1030. Like when I say upside, like I mean like a proper overall strength to the upside again, right? You cannot look into that unless we get above this or closer to at least 1030 area. Okay, and as if it stays in this weakness, the next zone is 850 area. Okay, so Micron is also not looking good. The transition for the bulls is failing, which was just a rebound for a couple of days, and bears are taking control, unfortunately. So yeah, so unless we turn around again, you cannot really expect any bullishness right now. Fundamentals could be great or whatever, guys, but you know, even forward-looking outcome from the fundamental PE ratio side and all of that, I see a lot of those arguments floating around, but it doesn't matter. Those numbers are made up of the forward PE ratio or whatever you are looking at. You know, it's just the analyst's judgment, right? That doesn't guarantee anything. It's just something they think, and they think all the random crap all the time. So that's why price action is the truth, source of truth, and price action right now is telling us that we're in the weakness and continuing in the weakness. Okay, so gotta be careful there. SK Hynix. Now let's talk about SK Hynix, because This is mostly an extension of Korean side of the things. It's just that money flow can directly happen through US markets here at the NASDAQ. It is giving an inside candle today. Yesterday it had a really good run up of 27%, giving up some gains today. Technically, yeah, 8% down from the previous close. Now, this you cannot look in the isolation here, guys, because you don't have a prior context. Now, you don't need to get the prior context, though, if this was a completely separate instrument. But since it's not a complete separate instrument, it is an extension of SK Hynix from the Korean market side. So it's important to see today what it does. What I expect on SK Hynix at least is that we may chop around. We may not see a decline like Micron and Sandisk. We may maybe a little bit give up again some gains, but I do expect, looking at the Korean SK Hynix, I do expect we may chop around, but hey, nothing is guaranteed. If we start to get into the weakness side, we may make a lower end more. So yeah, we'll have to use the context from this SK Hynix on the Korean market that we have. If we get below, I'll talk about it when the Korean market opens. If we lose 2 million zone again on SK Hynix on the Korean side, we have a room to slip lower. What I wanted to see is, I did mention yesterday that we may have a bottom on Kospi here, right? Through the pullbacks. Kospi still looks strong to me, but SK Hynix and Samsung make 50% of it. But today, how the US markets are looking like, and we want to see how the Korean market opens today, especially on the US side for the memory stocks, right? We want to see how Korean market does today. It's very important because that may define pretty much, is this on at least Kospi a bottom or not, right? And SK Hynix would fall there, but yeah, so let's see what happens in the Korean market. Even though there's a high potential still of forming a bottom, but if things couldn't stabilize today on Kospi, then things will be dire. So just be prepared for that, because Sandisk is Microns, they are not looking good, right? All right, let's take a look at Seagate, and then we'll take a look at some of the semiconductors as well. Seagate is really in a dire situation. This one was already, I told you also previously that yes, we did transition for a couple of days into the rebound, but this red zone above we have to get to fully turn again to the upside in the direction and a bullish strength again. So as you can see, we never did that, right? And thus overall structure is taking precedence still to the downside yet. And now it's testing this pretty much the $800 zone, which is the zone of importance. As we lose 800, we're gonna get to 693, right? So yeah, it's not looking good. Completely in a free fall today. Seagate, that is over here, right? So all right, guys, let's get to the semiconductors, and we'll get to first Nvidia. Nvidia is still bullish, okay? We are still in the bullish direction for it today. Also just a bit of a pullback, nothing changes. You can manage your position if you lose 2 or 4, but above that we're still bullish, all good. 199 and 50 cents is where our bullish structure started, and I already told you this days prior to that, watch that zone. Above that will be bullish, and you can see already a good run up we have gotten. AMD is failing at the liquidity grab again. So liquidity zone that I have given you is still working as how it's supposed to work. This is how it's supposed to work. It's all about grabbing all those orders and then selling off, right? Okay, check out my previous videos. The plan is still the same. If we lose 528, we are on the distribution weakness side. If we lose 500, you don't want to be in any position on this thing. And otherwise, you should have already sized down partial profits taken here already. And if we continue to break out above liquidity zone, you hold. Otherwise, no, below 528, you can start sizing down already more if you like. Do what you want to do, but 500 below, there is no point right now on this thing. Anyways, it's already slowing down. Be happy with the profits. Good run up it has made. And liquidity zone is working as expected still. It's unable to close strong closer to here, which you wanted to see if you want to see a breakout, since it's not doing that. As I have already told you, it's not that I'm telling you now, I already told you this before, and it's unfortunately just not doing it. All right, so ARM also remains in the bearish structure. Nothing has changed, guys. As per my previous videos, the thing is still the same to the downside. And next level is 236 on ARM. Broadcom is still technically fine, guys. I know it's slowing down here, but it's still in the overall bullish structure until 372 for me. TSM earnings to be watched tomorrow. Now, anything that can save this sector would be TSM tomorrow. Now we have, I think, also ASML, right? And I think they already had their earnings today. Not quite a reflection, like they delivered strong sales, profit growth, raised outlook, and ongoing capacity expansion, right? So, but none of that is helping the market, all right? So here you go, right? Q2 2026 saw net sales and gross margin exceed guidance driven by strong demand in both logic and memory, with full year sales now guided at 45 billion euros. Aggressive capacity expansions are planned and all that good stuff, right? You get my point. But hey, I mean, this thing is to itself maybe doing fine, not that bad, but it doesn't really help other semiconductors or memory stocks. Look at it. Sandisk is also really falling, continuing to fall. Anyways, so where were we? Yeah, we talked. TSM is something you have to watch tomorrow. But yeah, it's also on the collapsing end. Intel also remains negative. You already are aware about it. Still bearish. I've been telling you this. And Seagate, we already talked about it. So guys, there are your memory stocks and chip stocks so far. And with that, I'll see you in my next video as well. If you are interested, check out my members only videos as well. Get my tools also from Patreon. You want to be aware about these things. The tools helps me to already identify the price actions, where they will react, how to, forward looking outcome, how to prepare. Tools helps in all of that, guys. All right, details you'll find in the description of this video if that interests you. And with that, I'll see you in my next videos. Take care. Bye.